Good morning, everybody. It's about time for our Sunday morning meditation. Let's begin our meditation. Let's all set aside the things that came before this moment and the things that are coming after, and just settle down into our seats. Some of you may notice that I'm not sitting at the front of the room. The reason is because meditation is one of the most powerful tools that we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont. Being able to meditate during any circumstances, even when things are off, is the ability to center yourself and think rationally, even during crises. So we center into our spot, close our eyes, take a deep breath in, and release all the stuff that came before. Take another deep breath in, and in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine yourself on a beach. A quiet beach. Sitting on the sand, staring out across the water. Little waves churning. It is one of the most powerful images that humans regularly see. The big, beautiful ocean mixing itself up. And you sitting on the edge of it, feeling that absolute power, but not being moved by it. It's not pulling you around. It's not pushing you. You get to just observe it. That's what meditation is. You drop down into your center space where you are the observer. And you get to see, without being attached to anything, truth. Feel the peace of not being attached to anything. Feel the absolute love that the world, God, has for you to put you in this place where you can just be. Breathe in the fresh air. Feel it move into your bloodstream and spread throughout your body. Feel the harmony in your heart space with the greater universe, God. No separation. It's okay to have random thoughts, but in this space, we don't give them power. We acknowledge them for what they are, and we release them and let them go. As you drop down into this space every Sunday, and any other time that you meditate, you are cultivating it. You are building it up. You're installing a ladder to make it easier to get to. When you do it enough, you can drop into this space at any time. This wonderful space that God gave us to center ourselves, to let go of all the things that demand that we have emotions or anger, panic. None of that touches you here. It's like a spiritual bomb shelter. In the inverse, for God is in there as He is everywhere. In this space, you can feel the love that is life, the harmony that proves there is one and only one. In this space, you can feel the true peace between everything else that happens in the universe. In this space, you can see the signs that God put down just for you. As you look around the beach, and you see the waves lapping the shore. You look up and you see the blue sky. The birds lazily floating in the wind. You know that this space is made just for you. Perfectly designed for you to let go of all those things that make your life unlivable. All the noise that hurts you. It doesn't really exist as such. It's just noise. And in this space, you know and trust that that noise is just noise. I call this space God's embrace. It is the place where it is most obvious that the Creator, whatever you call it, is always with you. This space is proof that you can surrender. You can let go. You can just be. In your mind's eye, see yourself stand up. Turn away from the ocean, and as you walk away and the sound of the waves diminish, know that this space is always available to you. It's always there, present and available. And as those sound of those waves slowly disappear, that you can stop into this space at any time. Take one last deep breath in, and as you release, see yourself stepping up onto the grass, away from the sand, and moving back into your life, knowing that you always have this available for you. It's always there. Thank you for joining us for meditation today. Our service begins at 10.
Sun coming up on the earth, open up strong and we learn. Never done, never do we waver. Who is the one that we seek? Who is the one within we? I don't fear the answer. But I know hope it has wings. I can see it rest with the King. Let it shine unbounded. Out of the mouth comes the water, out of the earth came a daughter. All I hear is to forgive. Out of the hands of Creator, I call out my heart, David. Lead us into patience. They drew the mist on the ceiling, let it rain down for now, can you feel it? Let it come full circle. I'm giving up on separation. Now it's time that we face it. All I hear is to forgive.
Forgive everything that has ever happened. Life is everything we can imagine, laid out in patterns of pain and passion. You cannot control it, so keep your compassion. There are no accidents, and there are no factions. There is no us and them, nothing to borrow or lend, no enemy or friend, and only forgiveness can make that happen. The only battle worth the fight. From the Rwandan genocide to the Seven Sisters, forgiving Orion for how he chases them across the skies every night.
Is that in the house? Spirits in the house. Spirits in the house. I'm so tired. I give up my simple mind. Well, it's not working. I'm no good. I'm in need. If I only could find the Spirit in the house. Spirit in the house. Spirit. Well, the light says stop and I go through. Pull me over, says a man in blue. His son, you know just what you did. I said yes, I ran the light of red. Well, what's your hurry? Who's a race with? Who you trying to keep pace with? Well, take your time now, it's all right. Got your answer, you can't hide from the Spirit in the house. Yeah. Spirit in the house. Can you sing it with me? Spirit in the house. Spirit in the house. Well, I'm on fire. How about you? Can't you feel the Spirit guiding you? Well, a house ain't home. A home is where love's alive, where you want to dwell. Said, I'm on fire. How about you? Can't you feel the Spirit guiding you? House ain't home. A home is where love's alive, where you got to dwell with the Spirit in the house. Spirits in the house. Woo! Spirits in the house. Spirits in the house.
And so at CSL Beaumont today, Spirit is in the house because Yankee is in the house, and it's always great to have his spiritual energy and his spiritual vibration in the house. I think music just invites Spirit in. And you know, I love to say music, M-U-S-I-C, my underlying source is consciousness. And I think music taps into that underlying source of consciousness that we all are. And so I'd like to welcome everyone in the house to being present here today. And I'd like to welcome everyone online. We have a growing online community, and we love your presence, and we love your energy, and we feel your energy here, and we know that you feel our energy wherever you are. And so for first-time guests, do we have any first-time guests here? If we have any first-time guests online, we have a welcome packet, and we will send that to you electronically. If you type your name in the chat and let us know where you're from and your email, we'll send you an electronic welcome packet. And we'd also love to know where you're from. So tap into chat where you're tuning in from, because we'd love to know where you're watching from. And after service, for those in-house and those nearby online, you're welcome to come to the center. We have a full fellowship potluck lunch today. And Jim is hosting it. Jim is doing the cooking, and Tina is helping with that. Is it chicken today? It is roasted chicken, I believe, that they worked on. So we've got roasted chicken lunch for you, so come on down if you're nearby. And let's read our vision statement together right now. New visitors, your light is always welcome here. And our CSL vision statement, it's a world that works for everyone. And we like to say it's not a world that works for someone. We're kind of doing a little too much of the someone right now on this planet, not enough of the everyone. So we're a world that works for everyone. And our CSLB purpose is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And that spirit is in the house. It's in the house of our body. It's in the house of our body temple. It's in that soul presence that we are. And that's what we awaken to and we aliven to and we aware to in Science of Mind teaching, that we are one with that spirit. We are one with that energy. We are one with that goodness. We are one with that light and that life. And that's how we awaken to our spiritual magnificence. And then our mission is transforming lives one thought at a time. That's how we do it, one thought at a time here. And now, I invite everyone to say howdy neighbor. If you want to turn to someone and say howdy neighbor. Just a quick howdy neighbor. And then Al, do you have an opening song for us here?
Is that our Meditator song? Sure.
Yeah, if we can do a song here.
Yeah. All is well, and I am grateful. All is well, and now it's time to let it go. All is well, and I am grateful. Life is good, and so it is. I know the Spirit blesses and protects you. And I know that Spirit's kind and gracious to you. And as you and I know that Spirit shines its light upon you. And is your peace, all is well. All is well, and now it's time to let it go. All is well, and I am grateful. Life is good, and so it is. Life is good, and so it is. Life is good, and so it is.
Life is good, and so it is. And life is good at CSL Beaumont this Sunday, and that's the consciousness that your ministers and your practitioners hold for each and every one of you. And we hold it for ourselves first, and then we hold it for you, that life is good, and I am grateful. And so today on High Watch, we have Evonne Fowler as Practitioner of the Day. We have Adrian Madden as Meditator and holding High Watch of the Day. He's holding the High Watch position. And then bringing this technology to life, we have Chuck on Tech today, holding that all is good and that we're grateful and we're all part of that service that comes together today. And part of the way that we know all is good and all is grateful is through our flower ministry. And so we invite you to celebrate a loved one. We invite you to celebrate the birth of a newborn. We invite you to celebrate a promotion. We invite you to celebrate just the goodness of this day by sponsoring flowers on Sunday. And you can check with Ross. He's sort of heading the flower ministry now, putting the flowers together. And today's flowers are sponsored by Bobby Chappelle. And I think I spelled your last name correctly. And if I didn't, did I get close? Is it correct? Spirit's in the house. I was doing it phonetically this morning, going, I think this is how we spell it. So Bobby sponsored the flowers, and they're really from Arvell, her husband, who made his transition, I believe, 3 years ago now, about 3 years ago now. And she got a message from Arvell that he wanted her to buy flowers to honor herself. On the 24th of every month. That was her birthday day, and he gave her flowers every 24th day of the month, not just on her birthday month. So she's sponsoring the third week of the month, and these flowers were put together by Ross and honoring Arvell, honoring Bobby, and Bobby wanted to honor Ross also for doing the flower ministry. So we'd love to have you sponsor the flowers anytime, any event you have, just for no reason at all, and share that beauty with the world. So that was Bobby today. And we always want you to feel welcome to stay, to eat, and to connect in our after-service community potluck. Today it's fresh roasted chicken by Jim and Tina. Jim is out there working on that right now. He always presents a lovely meal for us. So it's a wonderful time of family and connection and good lunch. So stay and eat and connect with us. And if you provide the main dish, we invite you to provide it for up to 35 people, and the center will reimburse you up to $75 for the cost of the entree with a receipt. Our Spiritual Principles and Practices class began last Tuesday. This is the last Tuesday you can join. If you want to join that class, you can join. We had a lot of fun talking about the consciousness of push-push versus push-pull. Where are you coming from? Are you coming from push-push? When you get pushed by the world, are you pushing back? How's that working for you? How's the push-push working for you? You push me, I'll push you, then I'll push you further. How's the push-push working for you? And we talked about this class about moving from the consciousness of push-push to push-pull, and letting Spirit pull you through all of the experiences and guide and gift and grace you. That's our Spiritual Principles and Practices class. If you would like tuition sponsorship, we can help you with that, so don't let that not be a reason to be in class. And we have our Joel Goldsmith book discussion at Evonne Fowler's over here, our practitioner of the day, at her house every Thursday at 4 o'clock, led by Reverend Neil Hainer. Is it Hainer or Hainer? Hanner. Reverend Neil, I've only been saying it wrong for 18 months, Reverend Neil Hanner. So we always update the computer. So I've been saying Hainer, and now it's Hanner, so Reverend Hanner. And we have our 4-course murder mystery dinner coming up, and that's coming up the last Saturday of the month. And tickets are $40. They're available in the office through Marcia or online. So we invite you to join our murder mystery dinner, full 4-course dinner on September 27th. We'd love to see you there. We are doing our tending to our digital garden class. It was postponed until this date. It will be on Sunday, September 28th, right after lunch. That's next Sunday. Darla will be teaching us and guiding us through all the ways of our social media, how to use our phone a little bit better. So please be present. If you're online, make sure you're present, bring your phone with you, and she will guide us through tending our digital garden. And isn't that our teaching? We're always talking about gardening, seed, soil, and plant. We're going to learn how to use the seed, soil, and plant of our technology to further our message out into the world. And we also have going on our 5 Wishes workshop. I said 5 fishes. I think there's some that loaves and fishes in the Bible, so this is 5 wishes. I know there are stories about 5 fishes in Scripture, but 5 wishes, what I want my family to know. And this is preparing what you want your family to know as you make your transition. Everything taken care of, where you want to be laid at rest, what you want done. So come, it's a really great advanced directive written in simple language. So we'll be helping you put together your advanced written directive so your family will know what you want them to know. A good grief support group every Thursday, 1 to 2:30, year-round here at the center right here in the sanctuary, so join us for that. And finally, we have our CSLB yard sale, Saturday, October 11th, again at the home of Evonne Fowler. Bring goods to donate that she can sell at her yard sale, and also attend that yard sale. That will be great. So that's where we are at this time. And now I will invite Evonne Fowler to come up and as practitioner of the day, and she will be doing a little power talk for us and then praying in our service. And there you go. Good morning.
You know, when we come together on Sunday, this is our sanctuary, our second home. And we're here to support each other, to just break bread with each other, to just be with each other. If you have anything on your mind that's bothering you, that you'd like to talk about, the practitioners are going to be over here on this side of the sanctuary to help you realize that, God is with all of us, and that we're here to reveal the truth. And so we can help you do that. If you have anything on your mind and would like to talk about it, please just come over here to this side of the sanctuary, and we'll be there for you and talk with you, and knowing that God is always with us. This is his home, her home, its home. Let's turn off the phones. If any of you forgot to turn that off, I think I did. So please turn off your cell phones so that God doesn't call us while we're right here. What I was thinking about is something I picked up a while ago that resonated with me for a power talk. And so it's in the Science of Mind. And we have a Science of Mind book study here at CSLB every first Thursday of the month. And we didn't have a slide for that, but I'll get the slide. It's at 10 o'clock at Emmy's house. And we take the month before that meeting, and we talk about the articles that are in it and anything that resonates with us. So we invited, everybody's invited. Just bring your book and we talk about it. But that'll be on the first Thursday of the month in October, okay? So I picked this one called Listen to Your Heart. And Abraham Maslow said, music make music, artists must paint, writers must write if they are to be ultimately at peace with themselves. And Ernest Holmes said, the word that we speak is the law of our lives, and nothing hinders its operation but ourselves. But ourselves. So, there's an old Hebrew story about a rabbi named Zuyah, who had, on his deathbed, began to cry. And one of his disciples asked him what in the world he was weeping for, and he said, in the next life, they will not ask me why I was not Moses or other great leader. They'll ask me why I wasn't myself, Zuzah. Our highest calling is to grow into who we are here to be, who we were meant to be. You and each of us have a reason for being here. We may not know what it is, but we grow into ourselves. We're meant to do the work that is unique to us. So we need to show up and do what we're called to do. Stephen Zamora said we should follow our passion, speak our truth, and leave our mark. Find out what lights you up and do it. What's your desire? We aren't going to be a Martin Luther King or a Mother Teresa, but we can do what makes life feel good and useful. That would be the need for good parents, a plumber, good hairdressers, or friends, all calling to contribute to the world. They all matter, and they all are meant to be shared. There's a fable about a man who traveled far and wide to find the truth. He looked all over the world, but he doesn't find it. Finally, old and tired, he returns home to find that the truth is sitting right in his home. We don't need to go looking for our true calling. Listen to the voice inside. Listen to our hearts, because that's where it is. The affirmation here says, today I pause to listen to the voice within. It calls me to do who I am and am meant to be. I follow my heart and live a life that is fulfilling, meaningful, and gives me peace. So be who you are and be happy. And so it is.
In this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I close my eyes and see that there is only love. Only love, love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself and it seems I've lost my way, I go inside and quiet my mind and hear Spirit when it gently says that there is only love, only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
There is only love. Another word for God, for spirit, for first cause, for whatever you call God. That's love. Love is all there is, all-knowing, everywhere present, always there. And right here in the sanctuary, there's only love. Love for and from each one of us as we are God's hands and feet here on earth. And we're here to hear the word, Reverend Michael's word. Oh, the people we meet. And we listen to the music from L, and we listen to those words. They all fit in. It's a service. It's for us to take out and share with the world as we leave our sanctuary here. I'm so grateful that I know this, and that as we listen to the message, we'll know more about. And so it is.
So I want to invite in, we had our Science of Mind, I know it's not a study group or discussion group, I think I would call it a presencing group. And we always open it with prayer. And working on getting away from the jargon of our teaching and the jargon of our routine, we often say, let's pray in. And what I'm knowing about all-loving Spirit, Spirit always invites us to invite it in a new and loving way, in a new and fresh way, in a new and rebirthing way, and a new and rejoicing and rejoyous way. And so this morning, letting Spirit drop in what I call the God gap. The God gap is where Spirit drops in, so make sure you make a gap for God to drop in. And in the God gap, right in that second, I said, I don't want to do the jargon of praying. I want to do something different. And right in that God gap, what came to me was a shift of let's presence in. Let's presence in. And what would it be that we would presence in that God gap that was dropping in, what we would presence in was love. And the discussion was around, is it Jesus Christ the man? Is it Buddha? Is it Allah? And we talked about taking all of that in our flames of faith, all of our flames of faith. And we could light these candles up here every Sunday and call, I'm lighting the first candle for love. I'm lighting the second candle for love. I'm lighting the third candle for love. I'm lighting the 10th candle for love. We could call it all love. And when we come to call it all love, what calls upon us is love. Whatever we call upon And whatever we call it forth from within is what comes forth in our life. And what we're inviting in today was that unconditional love beyond the name of any one entity, beyond the name of any one person, even beyond the name of consciousness itself. Because consciousness is something we named, and it's unnameable. And so one of the ways that we speak to consciousness, or should we say we let consciousness speak to us in that God gap, is that we let it speak from us and from within us and as us. And when we speak from that presence of love that we are, the presence of love shows up in the world. And our life becomes more loving. Our life becomes more likable. Our life becomes more joyous. And our life becomes more amicable with all those people we meet. Oh, the people you will meet. And the people you will meet depends upon how you greet the world. Because the way you greet the world from that love within brings the people in the world without to you. Like attracts like. Love attracts love. And anything unlike love will also attract it to you. So there's something called Occam's razor. How many people heard the story of Occam's razor? And Chuck, you might want to go to a wild shot because I'm going to walk the edge of these steps. I'm not getting too close to the edge. It's too early in the morning. But Occam's razor is about walking the edge of life. And you're very narrow on that edge of life, and you can fall one way or the other. You can fall into the security of the full stage that you know, or into the insecurity of the space that we don't know. And this space right here, between the pulpit and the pew, Ernest Holmes called the space of all possibility. He called it the spiritual space of spiritual presence. This space right here, not the people in the pews or the person on the pulpit, but in this space became the God space and the God gap in which everything could drop in. And so that God gap is kind of Occam's razor. You know, you're walking the edge between what you know, I know this and I'm safe, or the unknown and I'm not feeling safe, and I'm not feeling secure, and I'm not feeling stable, but I'm willing to release into the knowings that God is love and love is God and all is good and good is God and good is love, and I'm stepping into that good and I'm willing to step into this unknown space. I don't have to know what the pulpit person wrote, and I don't have to know what I came into the center with today. What I get to know is there's this glorious good called love in this space of the unknown. Oh, the people we will meet, and oh, the people we will meet when we step into the space of the unknown. And part of that space of the unknown, we call that the space between the certainty of the pulpit's words and the uncertainty of what you came here with today and the unknowingness of that space in between. We can call that paradox. Paradox. Between the pulpit and the pew is the space, let's call it paradox. And the paradox is the paradox the problem? That we're going to hang on to what we know, so we can't possibly open up to what Spirit knows for us? Or are we going to see the paradox as power? So Occam's edge, Occam's razor's edge, is that razor edge? Are we going to be on the razor's edge of the problem of the paradox or the power of the paradox? And how do we make the decision we choose, the power of choice? So how many people are following CSLB on social media? Hopefully more next week after Darla's social media garden seminar. But we put out a post this week about not seeing the paradox as a problem, but seeing the paradox as power. Because in the appearance of the problem is the grit in the sand to the oyster, and the sand in the oyster becomes the absolute power of the transformation of that oyster. So on the edge of Occam's razor, on the edge of the known and the unknown and the in-between, the God gap, there's all this power. But sometimes it's in the presence of the condition that creates our opportunity to see this paradox of good or bad, evil or God, heaven or hell, God or the devil. That paradox, that tug of war, that push-push takes us into the push-pull of seeing in the paradox, in the middle of that paradox is the God gap. Between the problem and the power is a gap. And I like to call that the God gap. That's the razor's edge. And so the paradox relates to our human tug-of-war belief system. And we're all born into a tug-of-war belief system. It's the way we're born into it. And we have the opportunity to go from that inner tug that says, I'm doing it all on my own. I'm doing it all on my own, and I'm really feeling lonely, and I'm really feeling scared, and I am not comfortable on the edge of Occam's razor. I'm going to fall the wrong way. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. That's the tug of saying I'm doing it all on my own, yet there's an inner pull. There's an inner pull to that paradox, and that inner pull says a higher power is flowing in as and through me. It's flowing from me because I'm one with it. I'm one with it. It's flowing from me. And that's that love, that unconditional love that flows from us. And this week in class, we talked about the push of Occam's razor. I'm pushing myself back into what I know. I'm pushing myself back in, I got a lot of problems, but I'm pushing myself back into them because I'm not going to step forward out of them. I'm pushing into the problem. How's that working for you? How's that working for the world? How's that working for humanity? How's pushing against everything that is working for you? And we came to the consciousness of push-pull. Don't push back. When someone pushes you, don't push back. Step into the pull forward of that consciousness of love from within. And you may not be able to love that person who's pushing you right now. Any of us know that? I am not going to love that person that is pushing me right now. And so if you can't love the person that's pushing with you, how about trying this? I think this is not a one-size-fits-all teaching. So find the size that fits you. And if you can't love the person who's pushing against you right now, can you love yourself unconditionally? Can you love yourself? Can you become that presence of love that becomes the pull of love that brings that person who's pushing into the pull of your love? Right? Like attracts like. Can you move from the push of reaction into the push-pull of creation? And can you become that creation of love? Can you become the creation of love through the flower ministry? Can you become that creation of love through the music you share? Can you become that creation of love through ideas you share in our Science of Mind discussion group this morning, our Speaking Science of Mind? Can you become the pull to the world's push? Can you become the pull to the world's push? So here's a story, and kind of about the push or the push-pull, kind of about am I doing it all on my own, or am I doing it from a power that's flowing within me? And Jack is late for work. And it could be Jill, or it could be Jane, or it could be Roger. Could be you. Could be you. And so Jack is late for work, and he prays, God, if you will just create a parking space for me when I pull into my office building complex right by the door. I promise I'll go to church every Sunday for the next 5 years. Every Sunday for the next 5 years, I will go to church if you create a parking space by the door. Jack turns the corner in the parking lot. Lo and behold, a space right by the front door of his office building. He's going to be on time. And Jack says, he beholds this parking space right by the front door, and God goes, never mind, God, I found one on my own. I found one on my own. How many times, when a problem becomes the power in our life, the problem of push-push becomes the power of push-pull, do we say, I did it all on my own? I had no talk here all week long. And I got from the push-push that I had to have a talk, and I had to be ready, and I had to be prepared, and all I have to do is be present. All I had to do today was be present. So yesterday I was going to write the talk, and yesterday we went to the pool and enjoyed the sun and swam. Ross cooked homemade spaghetti sauce last night. We had dinner, and at 7 o'clock I said, I'm not going to write a talk, I'm just going to be present. That was a big move for me from the push of what I have to do and how responsible I have to be and how I have to show up into exactly what Evonne was sharing, show up as you. Show up as you, and you're going to show up as the best way you possibly can. And Ross went to sleep, said, good, you'll be fine. And of course, at 5 o'clock this morning, I woke up and I went, got it. And stuff started dropping in. So this is a really fresh talk. And it's about the in-between, the inner tug of I'm doing it all on my own, and we're programmed that way, to the inner pull of awareness that says I'm consciously connected. There's a space between the tug and the pull. And the space between, for me, the God gap for me was 5 in the morning, and you know how it happened, and you know why it happened, and I know why it showed up, and I'm becoming the I am of the knowing of how this stuff shows up. It's when I release the responsibility that I have to make it happen. When I release that I have to make this stuff happen, and I choose to move from the pull of I get to make it welcome, wham! We did a little exercise in class. We call it a magic circle, and kids did it. And it was about release and receive. And we stood on a magic circle, and the edge of it, on the circumference of the circle, is what you want to release. What you want to release. And then you stepped into the inner circle, and in between that stepping, between the outer and the inner, was the God gap. And in the God gap between releasing, in that God gap when you stepped in, without your knowing, that something dropped in that you wanted to receive. And everyone decided what they wanted to receive. I decided I wanted to receive a relatively well-written talk, or relatively filled-in talk, by 9:55 today. And it was in good shape by 7:55 this morning. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk it? Not me. That space in the magic circle between what I want to release and what I want to receive is the God gap. That space between the pulpit and the pews, that's the God gap. Ernest Holmes claimed it, named it, and claimed it. And everything we need comes into play when we release and receive and know there's a God gap in between. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet speak of the space of the God gap. Oh, the people you will meet. Oh, the people you will meet when you live in the presence of the God gap of love. Not love as Buddha, not love as Christ, not love as my bank account, not love as my career, not love as my perfect body temple, but love is love. Ernest Holmes says we make a riddle out of simplicity. This teaching is about love. If somebody asks you what Science of Mind is about, is it a cult? Is it this? What is it? It's about love. No, tell me what it's about. It's about love. No, tell me what it's about. It's about love. And then stop telling people it's about love and start showing up as love. Start showing up as love. And oh, the people you will meet. Oh, the people you will meet. And the people that will come to greet you when you show up in the God gap of the presence of love. Winnie the Pooh says this, and I love this. Well, I love Winnie the Pooh, but I really love this one in Piglet. Pooh said Piglet softly, and they're sitting in a forest, in a little bench in a forest. Pooh said Piglet softly as they sat beneath a sky that had begun to collect its stars. Oh, come on, come on, come on. They sat beneath a sky that had begun to collect its stars. How many of us got out of bed today and said, I am living a life in a universe beneath a sky where the stars begin to collect? And so here's the cool thing about the God gap. Here's the cool thing about the earnest, God gap. Can we begin to see that sky in which the stars begin to gather? When do the stars begin to gather? They're ever present, but they begin to gather to our consciousness and come into our awareness as the sun is setting. And those stars that are gathering in the sky become brighter and brighter the darker and darker the night sky gets. The universe is always speaking to us that it's ever present. In the darkest night of that night is the brightest light of the stars, and the absolute truth in the God gap between what we want to release, the belief in bad, and what we want to receive, all good. When we come to realize that it's in the darkest of the nights that we see the brightest of the stars, and when we come to realize nature is speaking to us and telling us an eternal truth and inviting us to see it, in the darkest of our days, in the darkest nights of our soul, in the darkest of our conditions, is the brightest of the light of love as love. Scripture invites us to love everything the way it is, to love the conditions of our life as gifts to our life, the way Pooh and Piglet honored the stars that began to collect in the sky. And he says, do you think we'll always be like this? Just you and me, and the trees, and the wind, and the quiet, and the stars? Pooh thought for a very long time, as he often did, when the question was bigger than his thinking usually allowed. How often, when the question of our conditions is bigger than the thinking of our thinking mind can resolve, do we stop and pause in the God gap? When your thinking mind can't possibly resolve the conditions of your life, how often do we pause in this God gap with meditation or focusing on a candle or journaling or being present in nature and becoming one with that God gap in which our limited thinking mind can't possibly create the answer? We need to enter the level of consciousness in which all problems are possibilities, right? And so Pooh then thought, I think that we'll always be together in this space, Piglet, because even if the trees grow taller and the paths change their shapes before us, and even if one day you're here and I'm there, or I'm here and you're somewhere else entirely, I shall still remember how your hand felt in mine when we were small, and how your voice made the woods feel like home. Piglet didn't say anything at all, because sometimes the best kind of quiet is the kind that sits beside you and holds your thoughts gently. And Pooh and Piglet stayed that way, the two of them not needing to speak, not needing to move, just knowing that in all the wide world, they would always be each other's favorite place to be. I invite you to make your favorite place to be the God gap. I invite you to make your favorite place to be someone that you share the God gap with. And so most of the time, and not all of the time, Ross is my favorite place to be. And I think most of the time, and certainly not all of the time, I'm Ross's someone. I'm his favorite place to be. And if you could say anything to someone's favorite place to be, that favorite place to be with someone, and if you could be with them right now in this moment, what would you say with that person who's your favorite place to be? I would say to Ross, I love you. I'm working on it. I'm expanding it. I'm growing. And you're my favorite place to be. With him. Yeah. Being present. Just being present. Who would you be present with and what would you say? I would say, I love you. Who's your favorite place to be and what would you say? You know, that's the story of Occam's razor. It's a story of simplicity. It's really simple. You can be on the razor's edge and you can choose to step one direction or the other. You can step further back into your problems and live there forever, or you can step forward into the power that's in the problem and get off of Occam's edge and step into the power in the God gap. Let God gap be your favorite place to be. Occam's razor says the simplest answer is the most true answer. And in science of mind, the simplest answer is love. I don't know how to make it any simpler than love. The power is in love. And you know, I love saying science of mind is love expressing, S-M-I-L-E. Science of mind is love expressing. When you smile and the world smiles with you, yes? So what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But Ross and I spent a good part of last week in Vegas, and I'm going to tell you what happened in Vegas. It's not going to stay in Vegas. I'm going to broadcast it to the world. So what happened in Vegas is a perfect example of when you smile, the world smiles with you. SMILE, Science of Mind is Love Expressing. Ross and I played hooky Saturday night from the CSL. We were there for 4 days, 7 in the morning till 10 at night, but we played hooky Saturday night. They asked why I said self-care. I didn't tell them that self-care was going to a Ricky Martin concert at Caesar's Palace, but self-care is to whatever it is, right? You don't need to know the details. And so we show up at Caesars, and Ross had downloaded the tickets on his phone. We needed Darla there. Where was Darla Saturday night? And we downloaded them on the phone, and we never done that before. They don't do paper tickets anymore in Vegas. They don't do paper tickets. You have to download. So he did, and I found him on the phone. I loaded him to his Google Wallet, whatever that was, and we were there, and Ross said, I really feel comfortable with the paper tickets. So we go to the box office, said, look, we're seniors. The first time we downloaded tickets, we really want paper tickets in our hand. The guy looked at us, and I said, you're going to be old one day, too, and you'll know where we're... I actually did say, I said, you're going to be old one day, too. Think of your grandparents. Treat us like your grandparents. And he did. He printed us a paper ticket. We get to the door 15 minutes before showtime, had a lovely dinner at the casino, lovely dinner, and the tickets wouldn't scan. You know, everything was electronic. He said, these tickets are no good. They said, of course they're good. They just gave them to us. He said, no, you have to go to the box office. We go to the box office. About a 1-minute walk to the box office, and I have the choice of getting really steamed and really mad. Now it's 10 minutes over. We're going to be late for the show. And we went up, and on the way up, Ross and I realized that Ross and I together, all collective consciousness, I'll share on this, had ordered them for Friday night. It was Saturday night. They were over $200 tickets each. And my mind immediately went to, I'm getting pushed back into the problem. And I caught myself. I went, this is Caesar's Palace. This is a huge corporation. They are no way going to refund our money. But it gets better. When Ross ordered them, I wanted the $409 orchestra section seats. And Ross went, no, we're going to do mezzanine for $209. And I wanted those 409 seats. So we get up the box office, the seats that are available, since I know they're not going to honor us, are 409 orchestra section. This was budget blowing. So I went into consciousness, shared with him, you know, we're seniors, help us out. And here's where we let go of that magic circle. What do you want to release? I wanted to release a lot of anger, but I didn't know who to release it at, so I decided to come from love, and I said, this is entirely on us. First time we've done this, we ordered these tickets. Totally on us. Nothing on you. We'll buy new tickets. And I think because I stepped out of my wanting to make Caesars wrong and stepping into my receivership of love and came from loving, quiet, and calm, he said, gentlemen, let me email our customer relations team. I said, I can't do anything. Waited about 5 minutes. He said, you were in row E. We're going to put you in row O. We have 2 open seats, no charge. We were elated. I think if I'd gone up and argued and yelled, and I want to see the manager, and do you know who I am? I don't think the result would have been the same. But the biggest thing was, it changed his day. Because do you know how many people yell at him that it's not his fault that something went wrong with the tickets and yell at him? I think he was like staggered. These people should be yelling at me, and they're not. Maybe seniors aren't so bad. So it gets better. We go take our O seats, and I'm going, well, we paid for E, and now we're in the same section in O. This is not acceptable. But I did it lovingly not acceptable. And so there were empty seats in front of us, and some of them were row A, not even row E. So I moved down to row A, and Ross would not move. We paid for the OT. This is, not good. I said, no, it's all consciousness. It's all good. So I'm sitting there, and Ross refuses to join me, and the lady comes up and says, these seats are spoken for. Sir, these are not your seats. I went, no, they're not my seats. I'll own that. I will move. And so I went to Ernest Holmes. Go to principal. Go to this teaching. Don't push. Pull. And I let this teaching pull me. And Ernest Holmes says when he left the party, he never looked back. He got in his car and drove forward. And I said, here's Ernest Holmes right here at Caesars Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas was Ernest Holmes showed up. He said, move forward. And so in the $409 section, there were 2 seats empty in row 10. Guess who moved into them? Guess who joined me? You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff happen. You can make this stuff welcome when you step into the God gap of unknowing, and in that unknowing, you call forth the love that you are. So Ross goes 35 minutes into the show. Ricky Martin here. I'm looking at the entrance door to see if anybody's going to show up late, and how humiliating, right? Now every seat was sold in the theater except row O. And I thought, this is going to be horrible. We're going to have to go back to row O. Everyone knows we're criminals. Ross says to me at 8:35, let's go back to row O so you can enjoy the show and watch Ricky Martin instead of the entrance. I said, no, I promise I will watch the show, and I did. Sold out. Why we weren't bumped from those seats, I'll never know. Someone paid for them, didn't show up. The only 2 seats. And I got a lesson, a biblical lesson. I had turned into Lot's wife between 8 and 8:35. I kept looking back, looking back, looking back. This teaching invites you to look forward, to be pulled forward into the God gap. He said, either we're going to row O or you're going to watch. I said, I'm going to watch the show, and we did. All conditions will yield to the presence of consciousness if you will call it forth from within you to the without. And you will see miracles happen in your life. And if you question if you created the miracle all on your own, like the guy with the part, excuse me, God, I didn't need your help all along. I was in such gratitude and such grace for whatever energy flowed through me. I owned I was part of it, but I also owned that I was not all of it. That's our teaching. We're part of it. We're not all of it. So what we're talking about here is a signature story. God's signature story of moving into the God gap. God moving into the God gap. There's a story for you. In the Old Testament, God was pretty mean and evil. Locusts and floods and plagues, taking firstborn children. He was a pretty tough God. In the New Testament, it got gentler. And he said, I created these are my children. I have to love my children, not berate them. And so he becomes gentler. And to make that covenant known to each of us, to make that story made to us his signature story, is that he signed that covenant to be gentler and kinder in the New Testament with a rainbow. And so whenever you see a rainbow, it's God pulling you forward into the greater possibility, not pushing you back into the problem. And so as we move forward, as Ernest Holmes says, always move forward and never look back, great things appear before us. And I think the great thing that appears before us is what Evonne prayed in. Ourself, showing up as ourself. What a concept. What a concept. And so a signature story. God is a rainbow. Micahel is a kind old gentleman to the Caesar's box office person, however you choose to show up. It's inserting yourself. Your signature story is finding a story in which you can insert yourself into the God gap in the midst of circumstances. In the midst of circumstances, you can insert yourself for a moment into that God gap. The God gap between client, Ross and Micahel, clients with tickets, and the box office gentleman, there was a space. It might have been 12 inches, but there was a space, and I invited the God gap in. And so our signature story is inviting ourselves into life in a way that you dismantle the mantle of the known. You dismantle the mantle of the known. You dismantle the paradox of the problem, and you remantle it. You re-envision it, you rename it, you re-possible it as the paradox of power. I could have been the paradox of the problem, this sucks, or I could have been the paradox of the power of this is all about presence, and Spirit is teaching me to be present. You know, we pushed the wrong button on Ticketmaster, and we got exactly the tickets we ordered. You can use this teaching to create problems in your life, and you will get exactly what you order. I suggest you change the button you push. And so we pushed the wrong button on Ticketmaster, and yet the lesson here was I didn't have to allow it to push my button in a way that I was going to push your button. My button was a little pushed, but not bad. It wasn't pushed so far in that I couldn't stand back and see what was going on. And so rather than my button being pushed, so I'm going to push, right, push, 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 I allowed the push of my button to allow me into the pull of the possibility and not to push somebody else's button. That's love, showing up as love. I loved myself in that moment going, okay, it's all going to be good. So we can come from the paradox of push-push, or we can come from the paradox of push-pull, which takes us into our power. The power of choice to make your signature story of one push-pull. In the paradox of pull, we are always being pulled forward to a higher and greater good. Orchestra section, row 10. And we weren't bounced. So the unknown, when I was looking back at the known of we're going to get bounced and someone's going to show up late, that unknown space of allowing the God gap to fill in. And when I stopped looking back, as Lot's wife did, and everything crumbled because that story is about hanging on to the push-push of the past rather than being present to the push-pull of the present moment, when I released looking back, everything opened up, everything moved forward. And I'm telling you, when Ricky Martin sings Livin' La Vida Loca in Las Vegas with thousands of people, you're transformed into the God gap. The whole place becomes the God gap. Never in my life have I experienced anything like that. So we experienced a greater good. And the greater good I came to experience was that the unknown of how this was going to unfold at 10 minutes of 8 didn't keep me from coming to a knowing that in the unknown, this beautiful space that Ernest calls the God gap, this beautiful, 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 beautiful space of unknowing, this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space of releasing, this beautiful, beautiful space of becoming, in that space, that God gap, that space in between is fertile with potential. It's fertile with potential. It is soul soil. It is so rich with the gifts of heaven waiting for you to plant in the soil of your soul on earth. And what is ours to do to find in that God gap, that fertile potential of our soul? What is ours to do and to be and to become is to look for people who set your soul free. A ticket agent named Dante, who I will send an email to management about how loving he was, became the demonstration of coming from the God gap. And he responded lovingly, and we responded lovingly. And his love ripples out in this story today. It will ripple out when I send a loving email to his management and say, this guy deserves an award. And Caesars, I acknowledge you for being a people first place sometimes. Sometimes. Our next story is a story we told before, but I invite you to hear it differently. I invite you to hear it from the God gap. It's Ubuntu, and it's children in an African village that has no internet. They're totally remote. An American anthropologist goes and wants to study their tribe's policies, the way of their being. And so he puts beautiful fruits on a table at the center of the village. I mean, lush pineapples and strawberries. I mean, fruits these kids have never seen. And about 20 children, and he said, whoever runs to the table first gets all the fruits. And the 20 kids grab hands like we did in our created a magic circle, as kids do. And they walk together toward the table, and they encircle the table hand in hand, and they begin sharing the fruits equally. And the anthropologist said, I don't understand them from Western culture, and it's me first. And the kids in unison say, how can any of us win at life unless we all win together? CSL is, I believe, an organization that invites us to all win together. And so marvelous in Banff, Canada, and marvelous people and ministers I met in Vegas. CSL Kenya is a marvelous story. It's a real-life Ubuntu story. And Reverend Barbara Samuels, who I have met and connected with, is expanding a ministry in Kenya. And how do we bring Ubuntu, the story, into our signature story of living in the gap? She's expanding Kenya, and her first year it's expanded quadruple. She lived the Ubuntu story. We can tell it. She lived it. She started a small church. It's quadrupled in size, and every child who came got a packet of seeds, and they rented a community garden, a space for a community garden. They planted lettuce and tomatoes. The kids realized whatever seed you plant is what's going to manifest. The kids were able to take lettuce home and carrots home and fruits and beans home to their family table, which their family didn't have the money for. The community garden has now expanded to 4 huge community gardens in their community. It's now providing enough food and fruits and vegetables for the family of that village every night. And the center's flourishing because Reverend Barbara Samuels, stepped into the God gap of telling a story about Ubuntu and making it her signature story. And so we interconnect at CSL. It's way better when we do it together. You find a center doing it on its own, they're not going to be around very long because they're not doing God's work. So we interconnect. And so this center, we have a board meeting coming up, but the finance team is recommending to the board that we make a nice tithe to CSL Kenya to further their work. And so we'll have a board vote, but I'm pretty sure it's going to pass. It's better when we do it together. Better when we make our signature story one of networking together. And so our talk was, oh, the people you will meet. And the people you will meet depend on the stories that we tell, because the stories that we tell create the vibrations that we live in. As we come to enter into the stories that we tell through ownership, making our signature story in a new way, our lives show up in a new way. Illness becomes wellness, illusion becomes illumination, and the infinite becomes as one with the finite. I invite you this week to notice what you're noticing, to notice what you're feeling, to notice who you are becoming. We are more than the circumstances or conditions of our lives. There is an invisible boundary between common hour thinking, and that invisible boundary is the God gap between the pulpit and the pew, between the person and your signature story, between the problem and the power. It's an invisible boundary. When we give ourselves permission to have and do and be all that we can be, Scripture states we invite it in this way, that we give thanks for all of it as it is. We give thanks not for it. We give thanks not for world war, poverty, discrimination. We don't give thanks for it. But here's the shift in consciousness. Here's the shift from the problem to the power. We give thanks in it. We give thanks in it. Can you feel the shift? Can you make your signature story not one of giving thanks for world war, for hunger, for discrimination, but can you shift your signature story to one, I give thanks in it? That's the reality right now. That's the reality on this life plane. As we give thanks in the reality on this life plane expands beyond common hours thinking into the reality of heaven and earth as one. We give thanks in it for all of it. That's our signature story. The crux, the crucible, the cauldron of consciousness that brings about a world that works for everyone is the crux of the consciousness of your soul. It's the crucible of the consciousness of the love in your heart, and it's the cauldron of the consciousness of the paradox you choose to live your life from. Are you living from the paradox of the problem? Push, 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 push. Or are you living from the paradox of the power? Pull, 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 pull into the God gap. When you're living in the paradox of the problem, your life becomes stuck in the muck and mire of conditions. Yet when you make your signature story one of higher, innermost glory of God, the muck and the mire of worldly conditions become the fertile mud from which the lotus grows. Rumi said, when setting out on a journey, do not seek advice from those who have never left home. Do not seek advice from people who say this is the way we've always done it. Do not seek advice who speak from the problem. Do not seek advice from people who have not done their spiritual work. Seek advice from yourself. Because as we prayed in our discussion group this morning, we prayed in the presence of I Am. Do not seek from without. Seek forth from that presence of love within that you are. If one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams, you will meet with the success of uncommon hours. Winnie and the Pooh and Piglet speak of the God gap, of that space of uncommon hours. Pooh thought for a very long time, do you think we'll be together forever? Piglet didn't say anything at all, because sometimes the best kind of quiet is the kind that sits beside you and holds your thoughts gently. And Piglet and Pooh stayed that way in silence, the two of them not needing to speak, not needing to move, just knowing that in all the world they would always be each other's favorite place to be. I hope today in some way you've become your own favorite place to be. That's our Science of Mind teaching. I hope you've become your own favorite place to be. And now Al has a song for us.
In my eyes, in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, in my life, I've been searching for something, but you were my dream. You're perfect, you're golden, you're light, you're love. You're perfect, you're golden, you're light, my love. When I breathe, when I swallow, caress I feel. When I listen, I hear the most beautiful music out of nowhere. You're perfect, you're golden, you're light, you're love. You're perfect, you're golden, you're my light, my love. Li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di-di. When I'm sad and dark, shallow and in doubt, when I'm trying my best to put one foot in front of the other, you're perfect, you're golden, you're the light of my life, you're my love from forever. In your reflection, I'm perfect, so I'll keep looking at you to keep witnessing my perfection in you as me. Whoa, whoa. Li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di-di, li-di-di-di. Can you do that with me? You're always there, you never leave, just like Piglet. You're holding me, You set me free. Your guiding light, your empathy, your confidence to express in it as me. You're perfect, you're golden, you're the light of my life, you're my love from forever. In your reflection, I'm perfect, so I'll keep looking at you to keep witnessing that I'm perfect. I'm golden. You're the light of my life. You're my love from forever. In your reflection, I'm perfect. So I'll keep looking at you to keep witnessing my perfection. And you as me. Whoa, whoa. So I invite us not as we pray in, because Spirit always invites itself in a new way, in a new word, and so I invite us to presence in. I invite us to presence in our signature story. I invite us to presence in our signature story as releasing of the push-push of this world into the push-pull of the Spirit beyond, into that God gap, that presence of God gap. I invite us to make welcome, to presence in our signature story of knowing that we don't give thanks for it. We give thanks in it, exactly the way it is. And I invite us to presence in our signature story of knowing that this week, each of us and all of us in our own way enter the God gap. And the God gap for me is the garden that doesn't ask. In the God gap is a garden that doesn't ask anything of us. In the God gap is a garden that asks us only to be present with who we are. In the God gap, in the garden that doesn't ask, it is just waiting for us to be present with it in our own form, in our own energy, in our own way of love. And as we bring love to that garden that asks nothing of us, and we offer love, love returns to us multifold, as in CSL Kenya, gardens and community gardens. There's always enough and more than enough when we presence in our signature story of knowing, oh, the people we will meet when we come to greet the world from the love in our soul that we are. And I invite us together to say, and so it is. So now it's our time of conscious giving. And if you have an offering to give, I invite you to hold it over your heart. You can hold it over your physical heart or your spiritual heart. Just thanks, sending that love through your tithe. And if you are not have a tithe this week, I know we have a lot of auto tithers, just circulate your hand over that basket and circulate energy of love in that basket, because that'll pass all the way around to the sanctuary. So you have something to offer, and what you have to offer is your love, and that's beautiful. So offering to heart, circulating love, and I invite our ushers to come forward. Online, you can tithe to cslbeaumont.org. You can text GIVE to 951-420-6909. Now, if we have our giving statement, Chuck. And I invite us to say this together from that loving space in our heart, from that garden within that asks nothing, but brings everything to us. So from that garden of love within, I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my beloved community is richly blessed, and so it is. Thank you for giving. Thank you for receiving. And thank you for being who you are. Thank you for breathing. And thank you for believing. And thank you for being who you are. The universe is flowing with love that's ever growing, and you are the vessel of that love. So thank you for caring, and bless you for your sharing. Thank you for being who you are. I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to have a talk written, and I don't have to share, but I will just share from my heart. Wow, your music just unified and magnified and elevated the service today. It was perfection. Thank you so much for being here. Truly, truly. And so now we gather up in circle and we join hands and we sing out. Al will guide us in our sing out song. And if you want to remain seated and just join us in consciousness in that God gap, we know that works too. So we're going to do One People. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We are all one. One more time. One people living on one planet, joining in one family. We're all one family. We are all one family. We're all one family. We are all one family. We are all one. And so today I'm knowing that something wonderful happened at CSL Beaumont, and that's something that wonderful that happened as we began to explore that just maybe we're our favorite place to be. And as we come to know that we really are our favorite place to be, that attracts all of the people that we come to meet along the way. And I feel that place that we come to be and that place we come to know ourselves is in the God gap. And I feel we came to presence in that what that God gap is, the garden that doesn't ask. And so I'm knowing this week that each of us goes forward as the garden that doesn't ask, and it's only the garden that seeds the good in others and sees the good in others and presence is that good in ourselves. And so this week, the good that unfolds from beyond this walls and from beyond this service is that each of us step in the God gap of the garden that doesn't ask. And together we say, and so it is. Lunch in Carter Hall, baked chicken and all kinds of good stuff by Jim and Tina. Potatoes and carrots and all kinds of